Hi, RingCentral just had an analyst day and we learned lots of great information. And I'm with Jose Pastor, who's the Vice President of Product Management. So welcome, Jose.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
RingCentral has been gaining a lot of momentum recently. What can you attribute this to?
Well, there are lots of factors at play, but as a product guy, of course, I want to attribute it a lot to great product.
As well you should.
Seriously, though, there's a lot going on. There are significant market forces with customers wanting to move away from legacy and move toward the cloud. So that's wind in our sails. We absolutely try our hardest to delight our customers from the beginning to end, from setting expectations with what we can do, with delivering great products that are highly available, highly usable, and solve use cases in compelling ways. And we follow that up with great support. So there's not one thing, but there's a lot going on. I think we're firing on all cylinders, and we're going to continue to do that.
So one of the differentiators, I guess, in your portfolio is Glip. Can you talk a little bit about Glip and how that's integrated with RingCentral's call control and what that provides?
Absolutely. So Glip's pretty awesome, right? It's changed the way that we work at RingCentral, and we're delighted to offer that to all of our customers as part of the Office offer. And Glip at its core is a collaboration application, right? It's chat, team messaging, file management, and more. But as it pertains to call control, because collaboration is so important, we've started to think about it as collaborative communications. And what does that mean about call control? That means we actually make those Glip interfaces endpoints in the telephony ecosystem. And so that means on Glip Mobile and on the Glip desktop, you've got a first-class soft phone living in there. On the desktop, it's through WebRTC, so that you can make and take calls not only point-to-point like we're used to with WebRTC, but going through our servers to connect to PSTN calls. And in call, you've got the full complement of functionality: record, hold, transfer, catchy features like flip, so that when you walk into your office, you can flip it off of your mobile and onto your desk phone. So fundamentally what we're doing is we're treating that like a first-class endpoint, both on the desktop applications for Windows and Mac, as well as browser applications, and the two dominant mobile endpoints, iOS and Android.
Okay. Another differentiation is your focus on QoS, and you've been talking about QoS Analytics. Can you tell us about that?
We have. QoS Analytics is awesome, right? It's a great opportunity to get your geek on because it's technically very difficult to achieve. It's really important, and it gives you great insight. So let's talk a little bit about what it is. First off, it's real life. We're delighted to have rolled that out here in Q3 and the beginning of Q4 across most of our office base. So we've now got it rolled out to hundreds of thousands of customers across millions of endpoints, measuring and reporting on billions of calls. Which is just to ground it a little bit, because a lot of people talk about analytics, but this is full-on production scale and quality. What it gives our users, IT administrators, first off, is visibility across their enterprise about an insight into every call on the RingCentral network, whether it's on a hard phone, a soft phone, WebRTC, on Glip, on an integration, or mobile endpoint, which is important because often the things that IT leaders are solving for don't exist just inside their four walls. It's also during drive time, on home Wi-Fi networks, and late at night. This dashboard enables us to see all of the calls. It breaks it down by important dimensions that you can control, and it gives you insight on how people are using your RingCentral system around the endpoints, hard phone, soft phone, as I mentioned, the codecs in use, so you could dial those up or down, and importantly, the ISPs, because that's an important piece in that last leg and over the top. We're also providing visibility to show network constraints between you and the edge. So for example, you can see call volume versus call quality, and you can start to chart that. If you see if you see a congestion point, you can adjust for it quickly. And it's not just at the global view. You can drill down by location. You can drill down to the individual call for use cases like VIP, CEO, CFO who says, "Hey, I had a bad call last week. What happened?" You're just seconds away from going to the person, to the call, to the legs of the call, to see MOS score, packet loss, jitter, the carrier that was involved. So if it's, for example, if it's outside your span of control on a cellular network, that can help you as an IT leader make better decisions about what providers you deploy. And it's all there in black and white. We're proud to offer many different connectivity options at RingCentral, but we believe firmly that we're the best over-the-top provider, and we want to provide that visibility right back to you, to both enable you to troubleshoot and get visibility and to keep us honest. So it's a long answer, but I'm super excited about it.
I can tell.
It's deeply rewarding to see the response from our customers, both in the beta period and now that we've made it live. At our user conference here in San Francisco in the last 2 days, we had lots of great conversations and really got to dig in and hear some fantastic stories from our customers.
Last question. The other thing we hear a lot about is APIs and integrations, and that's obviously key for enterprises. Can you give us some examples of how customers are using your APIs to integrate with applications and workflows?
Absolutely. So I think you are exactly right. APIs are really important in today's multi-cloud ecosystem. No one is an island anymore, and by virtue of our open platform, we've seen customers do a bunch of things. And let me categorize it first, and we'll jump into a couple of examples. Number one, the one that we see the most of are these sort of CRM applications. Second are these sort of storage and data enrichment applications, and third are actually workflow. So let me just go and run through a couple of examples. So I think you're probably familiar with lots of integrations like to Salesforce and Zendesk and Desk. We had an education customer who was using Salesforce and then switched to, and I think this is around donor management, but then switched to a vertical specific one that, guess what, we had never heard of, we had never built something for it, and they were able to use our APIs actually to build their own CTI integration into this third party, which I thought was really a great use case because they could meet both their communication use case with RingCentral and their very vertical specific use case with a third party, even a small player. So that's interesting and exciting because it empowers them to work the way they want to work. Second kind of integration we see a lot is these sorts of integrations that take data from RingCentral and move it to some other place, sometimes for storage and sometimes for post-processing. But today at the conference we talked about Gong.io, which is an out-of-the-box integration. What it does is it takes calls for the purposes of training and does some analysis on the voice stream to help empower sales folks to get better. So it's a great example of taking data and then doing something useful with it that's sort of outside of the scope of the regular UC space and really driving some more value operationally. And I think that's really exciting because that's the kind of value that we want to enable IT leaders to drive, right? As IT becomes more and more strategic around business outcomes and less about infrastructure. That's good stuff. It's really cool. And the third one's around workflow. And we've seen a lot of adoption all along the way of these CTI integrations and storage. SMS is really picking up steam out there. And more recently, MMS APIs. But one of the examples I love is large educational institution in New York City is built basically their own feature on top of RingCentral for the guard station use case. So what they've built is an app whereby whenever a student or faculty dials an emergency services number anywhere on a campus, it routes an SMS to the guard station with instructions about how to deal with first responders and get them to the right place so that they can facilitate getting them to the right building, because the way addresses work at campuses is pretty complicated. And it's cool because they built the app and they're running it at AWS and it connects with RingCentral. Actually enables them to build workflows right in around the behaviors of their users. And there are many more, but I thought I'd give you one example from each of the sort of broad buckets.
No, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Jose. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.